I should go learn how to fly.
Good luck with that. You know why there's a shortage? Because the government just added 1,500 hours to the qualification.
1,500. Wow. I love flying.
It used to be a total of 750 hours. Now they've added 1,500 on top of it.
Okay, got it.
Oh, I love flying. I could fly to work every day. Like I love the whole.
You like the ground. The ground.
Do you like the ground?
friendly. You don't fall from the ground.
I love it. I love flying.
And if I trip and fall, I'm okay
Someone
normally.
else drives, you get there fast. Yes, yeah. Kelly. So, you know, at least you didn't call me, what most people call me. They call me Carrie or Kevin. Yeah. I don't even look like that.
They all start with a K. Come on.
Yeah.
Close enough, mister.
So, thank you for calling.
Okay. Okay. I'm excited about this guy and make sure you.
Yeah, everybody said I was crazy. I worked at the airlines for 11 years and I hated to fly. They're like, "What? You fly for free and you don't? Nope, don't go anywhere.
Oh, I love
Don't go anywhere." No, we used to go little trips. We did like San Antonio for the day. We couldn't have one. Nashville.
My wife, I told you, you used to work for United. Continental, before it became United.
That was my ex-wife worked for Continental.
And we went, we go to New York to the Broadway and come back that night. And they used to have all the red eye flights.
The nice thing about Continental is we could go international. Like
Yeah.
my daughter's been to Barcelona and all over, Paris, all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, I'll see it.
I barely left Florida.
Yeah. Somebody set that up. I'm sorry. Are you trying to?
Oh, there you go. All right. Montaz. Hello. Hey there. Can you hear me? Uh-oh.
I can hear you though. How are you?
Yeah, I'm excited.
We're excited too.
There's 40 people in the weight room. So I did an email like right before, I sent it to 777 people.
Wow.
Right, so that's pretty cool. So what do you need for it? Are you the host on that one?
I'm gonna join and then go make you notice.
Okay. Let me know your name. We got about 1 minute. Montaz, I sent you all of the questions.
Yep. I will see you then. I appreciate you.
Okay, all right, let's make Courtney the host first. And then we'll get started. Well, after you get the host, we'll let everybody in. Oh, you find just scroll down. And you'll find your name, and then you let yourself in and make yourself the host, and then you can admit everybody. We got it exactly 1:30, so we're starting on time. You should be able to hit admit all. All right, let me know when everybody's coming in. Yeah. All right, guys, how are you? Good. Great.
Hello.
Hey, listen, we got a bunch of people. I'm excited. Listen, we got, right now we are up to 50 people. I see a lot of beautiful people that I know. Hi, Joy, Denby, a lot of people, Sharon, Courtney, Stacy, Byros. Listen, this is gonna be awesome. We got a room here right Keller Williams in Tampa, so we got a beautiful girl. We got a room full of amazing faces here, and we got Montaz on from Baltimore, Maryland, and I'm excited to really get into this. So we're going to get started. I want to make sure we leave 20 minutes for questions. So we have somebody monitoring the chat box. I'm going to have you put any questions that you have in there. And we're gonna go ahead and get right to it. Hi, and we're recording. So if you registered, I will also send you the recording. So Montaz, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Awesome. All right. So we're gonna get right into it. I'm gonna let you introduce yourself before I get into the questions, and then we'll take it from there.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So first, Cheesette, thanks so much for putting this together. I really appreciate you. You know how I feel about you. Y'all, Cheesette is a real estate mogul, point blank period. Mom, like the epitome of a businesswoman. So just to be able to have a conversation with you and also to call you my trusted friend, because we have a lot of conversations just about business, life, faith and everything. So I really do appreciate you, Cheesette, and I mean that. So thank you so much. Introduction for myself. This is always like a loaded, a loaded question. I guess I would just say just a really tenacious and driven person. As we all know, real estate is not easy. I felt like, definitely, getting started in this industry, as an African-American man, also being young, it could be seen as a hindrance, but I decided to use those. Maybe some people might see or consider that as a setback or whatever, but I decided to use that to propel myself. I decided to make those things my superpower. Like my youth, okay, if we're talking about that, yes, I'm gonna be hungrier. I'm more savvy with technology. Being African American, like the plight of that sometimes, but just the ability to work harder and power through any obstacle or any label that somebody may try to put on me. So again, tenacious individual, driven, and again, and just reeling it all back a little bit. The number one thing I think that's really helped propel me in this industry is the fact that I'm people driven. I'm not just in it for the money. You get to a point where you're doing a certain amount of transactions. It's, okay, the check is great, but how did you impact somebody's life, right? How are you going to be remembered, when you pass on? What is the legacy that you're going to leave for your family? So, as you start to climb try to climb the totem pole and continue to develop in your career, the next question is, how are you going to leave a legacy for your family? How are you impacting those that come behind you? That's why I love doing events like this, and just being able to share the things that have worked for me and, pour back into the agent community.
Awesome. So let's get into the questions. How many transactions first year?
How many transactions have I done per year?
No, but this is your end of your first year, really, right?
So I started December 2020. I didn't do a transaction until April 2021. But then I ended 2021 doing 34 transactions. I had a settlement this morning. I think this was like 47, 48. I don't know. I gotta look at my spreadsheet.
34 plus about 50. You're about at 85. Right?
Yeah. Yep.
So just to get this off the ground, because it's so important, I got to. How old are you? Because it matters.
23.
So how old were you when you got started real estate? 21.
Yeah, 21. Yep, 21. Because then I remember I turned 22. Yeah. Yep.
Why did you go into real estate? Why did you pick those things?
So it was funny. I was finishing up my last month of undergrad in November 2020, but I took a trip to my friend's house in Atlanta. He was like the head of business development, business development manager at Apple. Had $1 million home, making like low twos or mid twos in salary. And he told me he was quitting and getting involved in real estate. And for me, I'm like, well, okay, I'm about to graduate with a 3.7 GPA. So I was preparing to apply to NYU because it's one of the best, they have one of the best MBA programs and it's very well respected, in the business community. So that was my plan, getting ready to, to apply to go there. But I'm just like, if this guy is where I want to be, has the $1 million home, amazing corporate position, but he's leaving and quitting and getting a real estate, maybe it's something there. So that's when I started. I started doing my research, and I found some of the best realtors in the DMV area. And, I just cold called them and I asked, hey, would you be willing to have a conversation with me? Hey, is there opportunity for mentorship? And that's how I started. But that month of November, I think I had like 5 final exams for school, but I was just like, all right, cool. Well, what's one more exam? Because I was a nerd. I'm like really geeky. I don't know if some of you guys see me on Instagram, but I'll be up late night doing Instagram, like doing trainings, watching trainings and stuff. That's just because that's what I genuinely like to do. I want to be the best at what I do. So I want to know all the latest information and things of that nature. But yeah, so took the real estate exam, passed in November, and I officially hung my license December 1, and that's the same day I started my corporate job.
Awesome. So let's talk about this dual career piece, because a lot of people are coming into real estate and it's hard to balance working a full-time job and starting a real estate career. So how long were you a dual career agent? What did your average day look like? And how were you making that work?
Yeah, so it was insane. I'll be honest, like I was getting to a point where I was getting depressed at one point. So I was getting depressed the second time I got a job. So the first time I had a job, I was working for National Association of Social Workers. That's the job I got on December 1, fresh out of college, amazing job, made great money. But long story short, I ended up getting fired because, the performance wasn't there. My first job out of school, during lunch breaks, I was on real estate trainings. I was leaving early to do open houses and to do showings. And then eventually they found my social media and they was like, I gotta let you go. So that was my fault, but it still was a horrible feeling because, I had went out and bought a Range Rover. I'm making close to 6 figures right out of college, living with my parents. Like I thought I was that guy. And then so for me to go to work one day and to be locked out of my office, like literally my key card didn't work anymore. And then, for me to call them like, hey, what's going on? Yeah, we're bringing your stuff downstairs, but you can meet me in my office to have a chat. Worst feeling ever, like horrible. And then I had 2 deals under contract at the time. So I'm like, once I got myself together a little bit after getting fired, I was like, you know what? But I'm going to be okay. I got 2 deals under contract. I'm going to show the world. I'm going to show them something. So that happened I got fired on Tuesday. The first deal I had under contract, it was a buyer. That blew up on Thursday because the dad came to the home inspection. And then that Friday, that deal, I had a listing, but that deal, it was some permanent issues with Baltimore City dealing with BGE. So that was in like January. That was in like February. I think I had got fired around that time. That deal didn't end up closing until June.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, so if y'all could imagine, and then my mom is like, boy, you better find another job. That was my meal ticket. You were supposed to retire me. like, because making close to 6 figures was what we dreamed. That was the dream at the time. Making 100,000, that was my family's dream. I was the highest paid person in my family, right out of college. So for her, it didn't get any better than that. Right. That goes into like sometimes I know my mom loves me. This is a whole nother lesson about how your family may love you and they may have the best intentions, but God put the vision in you. He ain't put the vision in them. So they're not going to see your dreams the same way that you see your dreams. So when I told her, I was getting involved in real estate and she didn't think it was a job, but I got up every day and I took it seriously because I knew how I felt when I passed the real estate exam. I knew that I felt that this was going to change my life and it was going to change their life too. She loves me, but she couldn't see it, but it's fine because God put the vision inside of me. So it's just like, sometimes you gotta, if it's right, you just gotta fight for your dreams, regardless of what anybody says sometimes. And I fought tooth and nail, for my dreams. So I got released from that job. I was full-time in real estate for 3 months, got another job, accounting job. And so of course I wanted to be better at my job at that time. So I could keep it, because it helped stabilize me to get to the point where it helped stabilize me to get to the point where I saved up a year worth of funds so I could quit and get into real estate full time. But that's the time where I really got depressed with life, because I would get up at 6 a.m. every day, start social media marketing, following up with clients, doing whatever I needed to do for my business, like still running my business like I was full time, because I know that's what was going to take it to grow. So 6 a.m. I would get up, start social media marketing, doing whatever I need to do. 9 a.m. I would log on for our team meetings, and for that job I could work remotely. So it was just like from 9 to 5, I got 2 laptops open. Real estate on one, doing team meetings, doing stuff in my accounting job on one. So 9 to 5, then at 5, I'm rushing out to do showings, meet with clients, do buyer consultations, listing consultations. I'm doing that until about 11. And that was my schedule every day for about 3 to 4 months before I ended up quitting. But it really got depressing to a point, because that's all I did. I didn't work out. I didn't do anything because I didn't have time to do anything else. So it's like, when you're serious about a dream, a goal, and you fighting like your life depends on it, you will eventually find success. But it just got to a point, it's like, all right, like God told me, and I felt it. He's like, just jump, just burn the boat. And, I think I cried after I sent that. I cried when I got fired, but I also cried when I quit that job, because I'm like, this is real. And I had a mortgage, because I was like, let me buy my house before I leave this W-2 job. And, I got a mortgage. My sister's living with me, she's depending on me. It was just a lot, but, I prayed to God, but I worked. Like, people say like prayer without works is dead. So if you're not putting the work behind it, you can't, who knows if it's going to come to fruition. But if you're working hard at it, you never know.
So one of the questions that I want to ask is, looking back on that time, do you feel like it could have been any different, or do you feel like it happened the way everything was supposed to happen? Because you might have learned a lot about how to run your business efficiently in that season, right?
Yeah. So, everything happens for a reason. And I had like other crazy stuff going on with my family that like stuff that I would have never thought that would have happened, and like just crazy type of situations that I was dealing with during that time also. But again, I kind of just put my head down and made it work. But again, yeah, I wouldn't have had it happen any other way. I wouldn't have changed anything, because it's made me resilient. It's made me realize that, I could go through anything. It's days when, I was, mentally out of it, kind of sad. Again, maybe feeling a little bit of that depression, but my clients never knew, because I'm a big proponent of, just because I'm having a bad day or maybe somebody upset me, it doesn't mean that you should have upset somebody else. And again, if you're running a business, your clients can feel that energy. They can, they'll feel it. And, when people are buying a house, it's an exciting time. It's a sad time. It's a indifferent time. You don't want your personal to rub off on them as well. So I would never let how I felt impact somebody else. So I always service with a smile and service diligently.
Awesome. So let's get into how we get these clients. You have to do a lot of lead generation because you have a lot of listings. So my question is, what were your lead generation strategies as a dual career, and how have they changed since you are doing this sole career?
Yeah. So for me, social media was big, just creating a really polished brand. So if you see on my social media, I really try to create, it's like everything is really clean. Me in suits, amazing marketing, like great top tier videos, like luxury marketing videos, and not luxury in terms of marketing a house at a high price point, but just like a content that has like a feel that has some substance to it. I'm big on taking time to, look over what I'm putting out, because again, Jeff Glover says, I'm in Jeff Glover's SLS class. People are looking at everything you do. The moment that they get off the phone with you, just to say, hey, I was referred to you by so-and-so, Montaz McCray here, licensed realtor in the DC, Maryland area. Just was calling to learn a little bit more about your real estate goals. Have a 10, 15-minute conversation with them. The first thing that they do, they're Googling you. They're looking at you on social media. Is this guy a good fit? Does he resonate with me? Like, is he relatable? Will we have a good working relationship? Because again, you're going to be working with this person the next 30 to 60 to 90 days. But social media is very important if, so I made it, I made it a point, I'm not going to post as much personal stuff. Like I might still go out and have a drink every now and then. But you're not going to see me. I'm at bar one throwing it back. Woo, like, no, because people don't want to see that. Like, you're handling one of the biggest transactions in somebody's life. And, they don't want to say, hey, I want to use Montez, but woo, he's throwing it back at the bar a lot, drinking, doing a lot of drinking. I don't know if he's the right one to handle the biggest transaction that I'll ever make in my life. So it's tough because we all want to have fun and do that too. But people are watching, people are judging, and it's in the back of their mind. So how you present on social media, that's big. And then you got, I don't take, my profile picture is not a selfie, because the first thing that I want you to see when you go to my social media is that I'm a business professional. And all I want you to think and know is, if you're looking to buy a home in DC, Maryland, or Virginia, I need to call Montez, because that's what he represents. That's what he exudes. And he's the ultimate business professional. And same thing with my referral partners. That's all I really want them to see and know about. I mean, make a personal page if you want that. But again, that's what you gotta do. People watching.
Awesome. So I want to congratulate you. So in this last 15 months, how many investment properties have you picked up?
Probably. So at the end of the month, it'll be 10. At the end of the month, it'll be 10.
15, 16 months, you've got 10 investment properties.
Yeah, so I do a lot of partnerships too. So it's like one of my really good partners, he's in construction. So it works because I'm good on the acquisition side. He oversees the operations and management of developments, and he knows construction costs better than anybody I know. So it really works. But as you continue to grow in the industry, you'll align yourself, and the right opportunities will come up. So that's one piece of advice I would say to my agents. You'll meet the right people.
Awesome. Why do you think realtors fail within their first year of real estate?
Because it's tough. It is not easy. It's tough. It's really not easy. Like at all. Again, it's one of the biggest transactions that somebody will ever make in their life. So you have to be sharp. You have to be diligent, and and then now even more with the market shifting, it's really the skills. It's about to become a skill-based market, and that's going to wean a lot of people out. You can't just put a listing on the market and it sells in 5 days anymore. It's like, how do you set the stage for a price improvement, right? Like from day one at the listing appointment, do you know the verbiage? How do you explain the slight nuances of 10 months ago market, vice versa, today's market? Do you know the economic indicators to present to your client to oh my God, I can't really refute what he's sharing with me. It just makes so much sense. So setting the stage for my price reduction, if it needs to happen, knowing where to pull data from to show your client, to show your client and, support your point. And then also coming off and not scaring your clients. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, it's still exciting time to sell, but I would be remiss not to share with you some of the nuances that we're seeing in this upcoming market, vice versa, what we were seeing 10 months ago. So I can easily say, hey, I know your neighbor, Mr. Paul got 600, but listen, I want to tell you, I'm optimistic. We may be able to get something around 600. However, if something else happens, I want to explain with you the nuances that's a little bit different from when he sold 10 months ago to today, right? So it's a lot going on. It's becoming a skills-based market. So you got to be at the top of your game, moving forward. But yeah, it's about to get tougher. those days, yeah, you can't just put a listing on the market anymore.
So I watch you and I just want to know where you spend a lot of time on scripts, on training. And when I watch your stories at night, I'm like, how is he coming from a listing appointment at 11 o'clock at night? But okay. But I'm saying, you go home and you study the economics of the market. How important do you think that's going to be for buyers as we go forward? And then what about the people that don't invest that time in it? And when I say don't invest that time in it, like a lot of people just really don't understand all of the moving parts. Because at the same time, you got to build your business, your pipeline, but you got to study so that you can build when they come to you. But then you got to do your marketing. You're at the same time just onboarding your admin team to your training and getting them started. Like, how do you time block? Where do you, because I'm saying this because you stay up late and most average people are not up at 12 o'clock writing scripts.
But is there software involved with him? I mean, is there some kind of software that we're, that's helping him get the economics of whatever it is with the market and stuff like that? So you share that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
But go ahead, you can answer her question, then I'll do that back.
Well, I use Showing Time. Showing Time has data. You can pull from there, and I use smart charts also. And then also just kind of like pulling recent comps too. Like, okay, hey, we see 123 Main Street sold 10 months ago. It had, it's right across the street. It was only on the market for 4 days, but we know from the Showing Time charts that it was 600 showings going on in this neighborhood in the $600,000 price point back then 10 months ago. But now if I pull data and it's only 200 showings going on in a $600,000 price point, and we also see that 123 Main Street, they listed at 550, so they all most likely got multiple offers to get to that 600. I and using stuff like that. And then if we see a more recent comp that sold 2 months ago, and hey, that sat on the market for about 11 days, hey, it's softening. We might have to be a little bit more conservative, and then just get that information to the seller and allow them to make an informed decision. But it's setting the stage for a price reduction. It's like, hey, if you want to start at 600, we'll get it. Hey, let's agree right now. We'll make an adjustment in 14 days. So again, that's going to become so important.
Do you time block?
Do I time block? I try to follow up with most of my clients in the morning if I can, but my schedule is like right now I'm a little behind schedule because I had a closing this morning, but I did take 30 minutes just to call people who I needed to call, follow up on some deals. But I'm onboarding a new executive assistant who's getting better, but I'm a very intense person. I want everything done perfectly. So just trying to immerse somebody into a world where, we have 11 deals under contract, prepping 7 listings to come to market, and still working with 5 to 7 buyers. It's a lot, but for me, it's me. But for somebody else, it's like, oh my God, this is painstaking. So just trying to find people with the right fit too. That'll help my life a lot.
How involved are you in your market center, and what trainings are you taking daily? Do you participate in script practice at your market center? How much support would you say your market center give you for your career success?
Yeah, so my market center is amazing, right? They have so many different resources and different things that the agent can plug into. Again, you can build relationships with other agents in your office, but the key word I said that you can plug into, nobody's begging you to come to the market center and get active. So I think some agents have to shift the mentality of just feeling entitled sometimes, because I have some agents, I've been with this market center and it's done nothing for me. But hey, have you went to all the team meetings? Have you took classes? Are you script practicing with somebody in the office? How often do you talk with your team leader? How often are you building relationships? I started building my relationships in my office, and hey, when I built my business or learning how to service clients, servicing rental leads, and it was rental leads from other agents in the office who were just too busy to work them. And one of those rental leads turned into a buyer lead. So again, like even relationships in your market center, very important. I received a referral from someone that I recruited to the market center because she wasn't licensed in Virginia, got a listing, during the time when the market was hot. So it was like, it was really simple, but it's just by building relationships. She wanted to go out to coffee with me before we went out to coffee. Boom, fine. Relationship led to a $15,000 check, insane, right? But just having coffee, building relationships, and being there for people and supporting them.
Awesome, and that's something that you said that I just want to reiterate is having that sense of entitlement versus saying that I'm going to engage actively myself because I know that this is what I need to be successful, right? So I think what you're expressing is an ownership mindset. My next question is around calls. How comfortable are you now, and have you ever been uncomfortable prospecting, talking, having conversation with people about real estate?
Yeah, so I'm very confident having conversations around real estate just because I do know the scripts, right? So if you immerse yourself into real estate in terms of scripting constantly and talking with other top producing agents, and I talk with a lot of other top producing agents, like literally it's like I work from my house because if I'm here, I want to pick people's brains. I don't know everything. I want to talk to the other top agents. So literally I'll be in the office in like an hour and 30 minutes of my time. I might have been here for 4 hours, but an hour and 45 minutes of my time has been talking to other agents because I have questions. I want to know what the best of the best is doing. And we have some heavy hitters in my office. So I'm like, what are you seeing in the market? What's been your biggest grievance? How have you overcame it? How did you work through this over the last couple of years? What systems did you put in place, or who did you hire to help with this? How much are you paying this person? Because I want to know. I don't know everything. I'm very inquisitive. And again, my biggest thing, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's like, I'm really great friends with Joy Russell. She's on this call. I think she's on this call also, but I call her all the time to ask questions and, get tips from her. And I love her because she's an open book and, and she just shares, and I really appreciate her. But again, you don't have to reinvent the wheels. People who've been in this industry, they've been successful before. If you need somebody to hop on a deal with you, okay, pay them 20%, but ask some questions throughout, because learn. I'd rather get 80, give away 20, but learn. So that 20% that I paid, it's going to pay dividends. It's like nothing. I'll cut you a check all day because what I learned from just giving you that 20% outweighs it all.
Yeah. And just segue real quick, Joy's on it. I will be getting with Joy, and I'm gonna hopefully get her on a Zoom. Joy sells 100+ houses a year, but she only works 6 months a year, and she travels the other 6 months. So to some amazing places. And then she invited me to Turkey one time. She's like all around the world. And just imagine what kind of systems you have to have in place to say, I'm only going to work my business 6 months a year and travel the other 6. It's amazing. So kudos to you, Joy. Glad to know you. And Joy is such a great resource. So we're going to get into some questions.
Thank you.
You're welcome, beautiful. I just have one last question. Well, two. What made you choose KW over any other brokerage? And how has coming here equipped you differently? If you can answer that.
Yeah, so I love KW because of the culture. That's why I'm kind of stuck at just going to mega camp, going to family reunion, and just to be able to meet so many top producers or top team leaders that just don't mind sharing. Like the amount of people that have poured into me and, just have shared and not really expecting anything in return. Like there's an agent who's in my office. His name is Jay Fischetti. He sat down with me one day, and I kind of like just busted in his office. It wasn't even planned. He sat down with me for like 2 hours and went step A to Z over his listing presentation with me. And I used everything that he taught me to go out and get a $700,000 listing the next day. He did not have to do that. The stuff that he shared with me is information that he probably paid thousands and thousands of dollars for. So even if Jay wanted a check for me for like $5,000 or $10,000 that day, knowing what I know now, I would have gladly gave it to him because it was well worth it. But guess what? He did it for free. So that just attests to the culture that we have here at Keller Williams. And again, for me to be able to pick up the phone and call Joy Russell and she answers, and we literally talked for an hour one day, and it was just invaluable information. And then she started telling me stuff that I didn't even ask about, but she was just like, okay, Montez, you're going to want to know this too. And you're going to want to know this too. Just in case somebody told you, you're also going to want to know this. So when you have people around you who start doing stuff like that, you know you're in the right place.
Right.
You know you're in the right place, for
But
sure.
you also took the time to invest in relationships and be in culture in that way. Because you had to have built a relationship with her, with Jay, for you to be even able to have those conversations, right? So I think that has a lot, and we always call this a relationship business, right? This is a fully integrated relationship business. So just kudos to you on that. And I know that I wanted to keep it open for questions because I know people have a lot of questions. I have one more question that I'll ask at the end, but if you're on Zoom, can you put your question in the chat? And we will get to it because I want to make sure that anything you want to know from him as a top producing agent 1 to 2 years in is important. And why I really wanted to have him here, because at our office, I'm the PC coach and we're working with a lot of the people that are new to the business that may think it takes 5 years to get my business off the ground. It does not, right? The first thing that you do need to do is focus on finding your clients and then you build your business from there. So I think he's proof of what can be done and just wanted to share that with all of you guys. So I'm gonna start in the room. Oh, you got questions? Okay, good.
Got one on Zoom.
Okay, good. So I will get to this question and then we'll ask the room. Any advice on how to save, transition, plan to leave full-time work?
Yeah. So my plan was at first just to save 6 months of expenses. And I cheated a little bit because I had my sister and we lived together. So it's like, okay, I think what my mortgage on my first house was $1,900. And, me and my sister, we were splitting it. And, my job, I had a pretty nice paying job. So I wanted 6 months, but then I got to the point where I had just a year's worth of, a year's worth of housing expenses, whereas so I could pay it by myself if my sister ever decided she wanted to move on. And then also just, food, leisure, whatever. Because this was my plan. Okay, I'll quit. I have a year's worth of living expenses and entertainment, whatever. I'm gonna try this out. If it don't work by the 9th month, I got 3 months to find a job before I'm home. So that was my thinking. And it just ended up working out. God is good.
Right. All right, good. So we'll get to these questions and then we'll come to the room, guys. So as far as leads, where do you think you have gotten your most clients from?
So open houses, right? I do a ton of open houses. When I first started, I was doing 2 to 3 open houses a week. And at first they weren't as effective, but I started learning scripts for open houses and things of that nature, learning how to convert people, learning how to, okay, should I really be like talking to this person a lot at my open house? Like, hey, have you been like, I can meet somebody, hey, welcome to 123 Main Street. Thanks so much for coming out to show my listing. This is a, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. The unique fact about this home is that this community, a lot of original homeowners live in this community, and it's so it's so prized and prestigious, blah 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 blah. And then I'll say, hey, have you been doing a lot of private showings, or have you only been doing open houses? If they've only been doing open houses, then you know that this person is probably unrepresented. If they've been doing private showings, they have been they're represented. So you want to probably folks shift your time to the people who are unrepresented to try to bring them on as a client. But instead of you just not knowing and have to run and check a sheet of paper every now and then, because I put on you put the box on a sheet of paper or on your sign-in sheet, you can know off jump. Some other tips and tricks I use, but it's a little bit more specialized, and I just kind of embedded the scripts into my brain to make it work.
So open houses, if you're in a market center, there are agents that are always looking for people to do open houses. That's a great resource for new clients. A great job with that. How did you get your first client?
So funny story. How did I get my first client? I used to serve tables. So my whole way through college, I served tables. This gentleman, he had on a "I'm a future millionaire" t-shirt. And so for me, I mean, I was very charismatic. So I just walked up. I said, "Hey, well, what business do you run? If you're a future millionaire, I mean, if you're a future millionaire, you got to run a business." So he laughed, and it just sparked an amazing conversation. And he told me he did a lot of stuff, logistics, real estate, whatever. However, I was not in real estate at the time. This was probably my junior year in college. So we had a great conversation, followed each other on Instagram. And, it was just like, I would like his stuff there, but that was it. Then when I finally got into real estate, I made a big announcement like on social media. Hey, I'm a licensed realtor in Maryland. So excited to be in this industry, all that great stuff. Then it was around Christmas time. I saw he bought his wife a Benz. And I commented, I said, "Wow, that's a boss move." Didn't think nothing of it. Then he replies, "Hey, I got 2 houses for you to sell for me. Call me when you get a chance."
There you go. Look at that. What is you from college?
And so that was my first listing, but that was the one that the permit BG issued. So that didn't close until June though. Right. And then the other house that he had for me to sell, we ended up just renting it because some of the areas, like again, some of the areas are subjective. But that's how I got my first listing.
So yeah, so you do a lot on social media. Great.
So put yourself out there. Don't be a silent. I would say about that. Don't be a silent agent, right? Like people typically are gonna go with whomever is top of mind at the time. And that's why open house agents get business, because they're present. And you got to do multiple in the same area. You don't just do one. Oh, it's not working. Like when I was doing open houses, it was like I started knowing the people that was coming because the same people who come to the open houses every week. I was, hey Miss Fran, it's me again. Come on in. Welcome to 123 Main Street. And it's just like, oh my God, I keep seeing this boy. Like he really must be the neighborhood expert. And then even if people don't come to the open houses, go through your database, make some care calls, just shoot some texts. Hey, just thinking about you. Learn the product, go look at the HVAC, go look at the hot water heater. How does this differ from the hot water heater and the HVAC in the other house? This is a high efficiency HVAC. What's Google the difference between a high efficiency HVAC and a regular HVAC? Like know the product, because that's the type of stuff that's like, damn, oh my God, my realtor, he's really diligent. He really put time into learning this business. He's really a real estate advisor,
All the stuff that we learned to talk about at Medicare is being that they're real estate advisors. I love that. Well, you already answered what resources you use to get your market data. But how do you choose your audience to market to? Like on social media, because you do a lot there. How do you choose your audience?
Yeah, so I'm not going to say that I market to a certain or a specific clientele. Right now, I'm just, marketing to everybody. Because again, like I'm still in hustle mode. I'm still in grind mode. I haven't made it yet. So I'm still working hard. I'm still trying to build a name for myself. I'm still trying to show up. I'm still trying to give every single client an excellent experience so they can tell somebody else. So I haven't like niched down to a particular market. Again, I've helped people buy $50,000 houses. I've closed the NFL player and his wife for $1 million. But again, I'm willing to, help anybody who's, going to appreciate me and allow me to like officially guide them throughout the process and just have a great working relationship where we respect each other and I can really help them get to their goals as quickly and as efficiently as possible.
So you mentioned something I want to bring up, your client experience. It seems like you put a lot of time and thought in that. Now, does everybody that calls with you get a Tiffany bag?
For the most part, I try to. I mean, I have my investors who I do like a ton of deals with, so they can't get a Tiffany bag every closing, but hey, I might mix it up. Maybe we can go to dinner or go to lunch at Ruth Chris because we're doing so many deals. It's really just about the relationship and strengthening the relationship. So, like one of my investors, I probably did 5-6 deals with him. I got him Tiffany's the first 2, but then I sent him an edible arrangement for 3. Then he came over my house the other day, to talk about some other stuff that he wants to do. So I had like a catered dinner, that was maybe like $70. Well, it wasn't the whole dinner, wasn't catered, but I had food ordered, and laid everything out. So that was $70 to $100. So, just different stuff to make people feel special and let them know that you appreciate them, because again, there is a lot of realtors out here. So I do appreciate anybody who gives me the opportunity to earn their business.
That's good. I can appreciate making people feel special. So they asked, your prospecting list of the people that you call, do you buy leads? Initially, was there any cost with getting this information?
Yeah, no. So I don't buy any leads. I haven't bought any leads. So again, my goal.
Repeat that statement.
I don't buy any leads. Yeah, I don't buy any leads. I know I know an agent who last year, I think he did like 110 listings, not buying any leads, but just doing an amazing job every single time. Your clients will bring you more clients. I had a listing. We listed at 410. I sold it at 430. But somebody had ended up just dropping by, seeing my sign, and they knocked on my seller's door. Not supposed to do this, by the way, but she just knocked on my seller's door, and she said, "Hey, I was interested in the house," and XYZ. And they just started to have a good conversation, because my seller, he's a very personal person. And she was saying how she was working with another agent, but she didn't have a good experience and she still needs to sell a house. And my client was like, "Listen, you need to call my agent today. My agent is the truth. He's awesome. Listen, he's got it all together. He's got his systems in place. You need to call him." She called me. Her house is about to be on the market with me next week. And then she has a plot of land that I'm going to be selling. And I'm going to represent her when she buys a new home also. So that's 3 pieces of business that I got from a client who's a Raven fan. Also, I got a referral to sell 2 houses. I just sold her 2 houses. I just sold her sister house. And now I'm about to help her sister buy a house. Well, I'm about to. So all in the family. If you do a great job and you really care about people, that's why it starts not to get transactional. It's not transactional. If you're a relationship realtor and you have a good reputation and you put the people first, you're going to get more deals.
Awesome. This is my team leader. Her name is Angela Walker. She said, "Montaz, thank you for pouring into us today. Do you have a mindset trick or method to get your head in the game on the days that you don't feel like it, especially where prospecting is concerned?"
Yeah, so I would say maybe just have a poster, or like from my screensaver is my family. So, I think about them. Like, that's kind of why I'm so motivated. Like the things that I want to do for my mom, the things I want to do for my dad, how I want to help my sister, things I want to start with my sister. So it's like on the days that, I'm not motivated, I just think about them and think about what I want to do for them. And, just to shift the paradigm for my family, because, again, with my mom, when I first started this, when I graduated school, she was like, oh my gosh, she thought that $90,000 that I was making as an accountant, she thought that was everything. She thought that was like, if I didn't do anything else, she was happy. That was her end all be all. And she was fine with that. But just to be able to show her like, hey mom, like it's more out there. It's a lot more than that. And I can impact a lot more lives too, right? Making a lot more and doing a lot more and creating a bigger legacy. So, and then, Cheesette, we talk about faith and spirituality all the time, but just being able to be the change, allowing God to use you to show somebody that there's more sometimes. And so I'm just big on that, having a bigger purpose. So I'm just really grateful, you know, for all God's blessings and his favors and his favor.
Great job. The other question is, what resources would you recommend to somebody considering a transition into real estate?
Say it one more time. Sorry.
What resources would you recommend to someone considering a transition into real estate?
Yeah, so again, just sharpening those skills, especially as it's becoming a more skill-based market, you know, talk with talk with different top producers in your office, take them out to lunch, ask them what their daily schedule looks like. Really just asking as many people in your market center, like, what did it feel like the shift in a real estate full time? What were the biggest differences that you noticed, or what were the things that changed in your daily schedule once you got into the industry? But again, it's sharpening skills, diving into scripts. So, and again, like for me, I really care about my clients and stuff. I know scripts, but it's like I know them, but more so probably my passion takes over. People can feel like my passion and how I genuinely want to help them. And how I do my listing presentations, my buyer presentations. Because at the end of the day, like, you know, we all pretty much have the same things to sell a home. Like, you know, we put it on the MLS, we can market it, everybody can get the fancy pictures and things of that nature, but it's like, how relatable does the seller or buyer feel you are? And do they understand you, and how confident are they in you to get the job done and fight for them and to protect the equity in their home if you're helping them sell, or to help negotiate them the best deal if you are representing them on the buy side.
Awesome. Going into the next question and this question is about what tips can you share about your listing presentation? I noticed that when people are new into the industry, it's like, how do I show them that I'm confident that I'm able to get this done when I've never closed the deal? I may just be learning how to write a listing agreement. So how did you deal with that when you were one in to convince somebody that you could get the job done, but you had never done it before?
Yeah. So the guy with the Benz, I showed up. Well, I studied the comps. I went over them with another agent to prep for it. You know, of course, I had someone, well, in my market center, we had like videos going through the listing agreements and all that stuff and the disclosure. So I studied that diligently. So I learned every form. I learned the listing agreement. So I was able to get that done efficiently. But I understood the comps. I came up with a strategy. And again, I watched a bunch of YouTube videos, talk with top agents. So it made me feel a little bit, I mean, of course it was new, but then the market was like blazing hot during that time too. So it's like we put it out there and we immediately got like 3 offers over ads. So that helped also. But again, just still learning and studying. I went through the comps diligently. Hey, Mr. Seller, I feel as though we should list here because 123 Main Street, they listed at 170, but they sold at 180. 124 Main Street, they listed at 169, but they sold at 185. Hey, Mr. Seller, you know, we could go on right at fair market value at 180, but hey, let's just go on at 175 to maybe create that auction-like effect just to get foots in the door. And maybe we can create that traffic to get a higher offer than that original 180. And that's what we did. 175, we sold at 185, got an all cash offer. But just knowing how to effectively communicate that and substantiate your claims. If you go over there and you're like, hey, this is comp 1, this is comp 2, and maybe this sold at 180, maybe we should go on at 180. What do you think? Well, what did you come over there for? Are you really a real estate advisor? Like, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, like based on these comps and all of them averaging out at 180, and it looks like most of them listed about 10,000 lower than where they sold at, an educated guess, I would be optimistic listing around here, but in hopes of getting XYZ. I feel much better about that person that just came over. And again, if they don't want to list at 175, they want to go at 180, it's okay. We made an educated decision to go there, but I presented all the data in such a way where we can make an informed decision.
Well, it sounds like the confidence comes from you doing the work to be prepared. Because what I hear from you is I took ownership of this appointment before I even got there. I watched videos, I did the comps, I did this, I did that, because I knew what was going to be required of me in front of this person. And I think a lot of times people lack confidence if they're not putting in the work necessary to get the results that they know they want at the end. So that's why I said, when I watch you at night, I'm like, he's writing scripts. And I'm like, okay, you're a rock star. You're still doing scripts, you're a rock star. You're still doing sales trainings, but it's like, I know that this is required for the shifting market and I want to be prepared for it. So great job on that. I want to stop here and I want to get to questions in the room because all these questions have been on Zoom. Does anybody in the room have any questions for Montaz? Anybody? Okay,
My question would be what, and this is only because it's been in the back of my mind. What boxes did you want checked before you got into your first investment property?
Yeah. So one of my first clients was an investor. It was the guy who I was selling two of his developments. So I started off learning like, okay, what's a BRRRR? Buy, rehab, refinance, repeat. What's a flip? What are like the most common, and then this helped me on the buyer side too, but I Googled like, what are the most expensive things to replace in a home? And so I started doing that stuff on YouTube and that helped me. Okay, cool. So I knew on the investment side to look what to look for when I toured properties, but also for my retail business, when I was out with consumers showing homes, okay, let's look at the roof. Let's look at the foundation. Let's look at the HVAC. Let's look at the hot water heater, like the air condenser, things of that nature. What are these, what on that list, what does a home warranty cover? So that really helped me because I did research for myself. So learn what a BRRRR is, buy, rehab, refinance, learn what's a good buy and hold, what's cap rate, what's cash on cash, ROI, so learning all of those things so I could speak another language to my investor clients that really helped. So when I was analyzing, I had an investor, I started off, I ain't have nothing to do. So I was just analyzing deals for him all day. So me analyzing deals for him, I got good at, okay. And then he would buy the stuff, like he would buy the deals and I would see how much money he would make. So if you find a really good investor client who starts buying and you start off with them and you see what they do, like, and just ask them like, okay, what was in your head when you purchased this property? What was the main deciding factor or what in the numbers let you know that this was a good deal? And that's how I learned because I had an investor client who was buying up the city. And I just kind of like, okay, I just started like reworking the deals in my head, like cap rate, how much did he make like off this flip? And that's what helped me.
the way you research and you do your due diligence is directly tied to your success. That's good to see.
Do you cold call? And if you do, what is your follow-up strategy in the event that you don't get an answer or don't get the appointment on the first call?
Yeah. So, excuse me, when I first started, I caught like FSBOs. I caught a lot of FSBOs, but I wanted to do something to make myself uncomfortable. So I caught a lot of FSBOs at first, and I used different scripts and things of that nature. But you want to be consistent. You want to call them consistent because they have a lot of other agents calling them too. And then like sometimes to be unique, I would drop off like a FSBO basket at their house. Like, hey, here's an open house sign, like coming from contribution, because at the end of the day, if they get tired, they're like, you know what, listen, let me just hire an agent to do this thing. They're probably going to hire the agent that's been the most consistent, also the agent that's came from contribution. Have you potentially walked the buyer through their house? Oh, listen, the top 10, like create a form, top 10 mistakes FSBOs make. Lay it out for them. Lay it out for them because you came from contribution. So when they do get tired and when it's time, they're going to go with the agent who brought the most value to them.
So consistently follow. If you don't get the appointment the first time, you have systems in place to where you're consistently touching that person, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because my follow-up, I think I attribute a lot of my success to my follow-up because I try not to forget. Like I have a whole system like for referrals. Like, so even if you are the referring agent, if you told me that you were giving me a referral today, I will put you on my follow-up boss system and it will remind me to follow up with you every day for the next 3 weeks until I got that referral information. And then once I get the referral information, I'm gonna put her as a top 5 lead because I don't know, I'm gonna put her as a top 5 lead and it's gonna remind me to follow follow up with that lead every other day because I don't know. I haven't talked to that lead yet. She could be ready to put an offer in today. I need to talk to her, right? Because I don't know if she already found the house that she wants. So I don't know if she's just ready to list her house, but she's just waiting for the right agent. But I need to talk to you ASAP to determine, okay, are you a lead that I need to put on a 90-day away plan or a nurture plan? Whereas though you told me 6 months, so I follow up with you once every month, right? Or if you're 90 days, I'm following up with you every week for the next 90 days. Like, you know, I need to talk to you, identify what kind of plan you should be put on.
I love that. All right, we got time for about 1 or 2 more. Go ahead.
My question was, what type of information where are you going to get your information from market data and things like that, especially when you're dealing with an investor who wants to know, where the market is?
Yeah, so I mean, again, pulling the most recent comps typically go like 0.75 out at most, especially if you're investing in the city. But again, what really helps me, a lot of my investors, they invest in Baltimore City. My family born and raised in Baltimore City. I lived here my whole life. So I kind of know like the high areas, but it's like, what is the municipality doing also? Like, are they building up shopping centers? Are they building up the like local parks and recreations for kids? Are they investing in the roads? Like, do you see a lot of the vacants being redeveloped? I mean, it'll tell a story as you're riding through a neighborhood. So I just really trying to look at the whole picture instead of just one thing. Look at the whole picture. Is CDBG, that's City Block Development Grant. Does that grant apply in the 21229 zip code? So you see a lot of people buying redeveloped homes because the city is giving a $10,000 grant for you to purchase that home, or value to vacant. That's a program that we have in Baltimore. Is that program applicable in this area? So are they giving grant money for you to purchase a redeveloped home in this area?
And I'm sure you learned about some of this stuff from the conversation with other agents. Like, how would a new realtor even know to find out about those kind of city programs?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's about 2:30, so we want to let you go. I just want to ask you one last question before you leave. What piece of advice would you give to somebody that's at the market you're at? Like, they're a year and a half, 2 years in. They don't really see the traction, the success that they want to see. What piece of advice would you give to them to get them to keep going versus quit?
Yeah, so I would just say find a mentor, find somebody that you potentially want to be like, and cling on to them for dear life. That's because again, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. When I started working with my MAPS coach, it was like clockwork. Like, we were just putting pieces together. Because sometimes it's like you might be there, but it's just like the little snag or the roadblock that you're hitting. Maybe you just need somebody to hold you accountable. Or maybe it's like a puzzle and you need somebody who just has that puzzle piece in their pocket and they can just be like, oh, all you gotta do is this, right? And so find a mentor. If you need a coach, if you need a coach, start with Breakthrough. I think Breakthrough is like $400, $500 a month, and you get to meet with a coach every 2 weeks. Mastery, you meet with a coach every 4 times a month. So find somebody that has a mutual interest in your success. Go to your team leader, go to your productivity coach, and cling on to them for dear life, and have them as a resource. Make sure it's somebody who can be available and be there for you. But sometimes it's just like you're missing that little piece. But by me, my coach has been on me about leverage. But I'm like, that $1,000 investment has been nothing in comparison to what she's done for my business. I have a virtual assistant. She was on me to hire an executive assistant. I'm working through that. But those changes have me on pace to do close to 70 units this year. And then next year, hopefully I can work towards doing 70 to 120, utilizing the same models and systems that she's worked with me on as a solo agent.
Oh, you said a whole mouthful. I just want to thank you for this. And I feel like you're a success story for what the maps and models that we have in our KW. So the reason why we start with the PC coaching, because maybe they're just starting, they may not have $1,000 a month to invest in coaching. So we launch them and get them off the ground so that they can get to, you know, the half cap status with 6 transactions. But then, like you said, once we get to there, going to breakthrough, preparing for a max coach, because those things are going to take your business to the next level. But I just want to thank you for your time. And we have agents all the way from California to the Dominican Republic on here. So this has been great. And just thank you for taking the time today, and congratulations on everything.
Thank you, Cheesette. I appreciate you. Thanks for the platform. And again, anybody in that market center, like I'm like, I'll call Cheesette. We'll talk for 30 minutes. My mouth will just be dropped because she's a superstar. She's extremely knowledgeable. Anybody in that market center, please, I beg of you, definitely take advantage of Cheesette. She's a gem, one of a kind, and a mogul. That's all I can say.
We're going to do some business here. Good talking to you. Have a good one. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you. Thanks so much, everybody. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
Oh my God, that was so good.